right, welcome everyone to our training. It's our tech training tonight, and originally scheduled was Barry's. We were going to do, or no, sorry, zip forms. We were going to do the second half of that, but we actually covered it all during our zip forms training a couple weeks ago. So today we are going to dive into Skyslope, which got missed a couple weeks ago due to illness. So we're going to go over Skyslope. You're going to get into Skyslope by going to your one login. So you should have on your browser the one login saved so that you can just click on it and log in. It'll take you to this screen, which takes you to your frequents. So if Skyslope's not on there, which it's probably not, you go into your apps, everything. It's alphabetical in here. So you'll scroll down to Skyslope. That's how you get in to Skyslope. Skyslope is what we use for compliance purposes. So all of your files go into Skyslope within 24 hours of signed listing agreement or 24 hours of accepted offer. Super important, it goes into here. If you use a transaction coordinator like Melina in the office, which I highly recommend that you do use a transaction coordinator, you need to make sure to get your signed listing agreements and accepted offers over to your transaction coordinator within just a few hours of that contract getting accepted or your listing agreement being signed, so that they can make sure to get it into Skyslope within 24 hours. The reason for that is that ultimately the broker has the ability to make any contract void by reviewing it. And so the broker needs to have access to your documents. Not that our brokerage does that very often or at all, but that is part of the reason. And then just for compliance purposes. So inside of Skyslope, yours might look a little bit different than mine, but this is what the dashboard looks like. Mine has a couple different options in there because I have a few different permissions on here. So you will have active, pending. I think you have closed probably this month, so are expired in there. And then you'll have the ability here to create listings or to review files. So that's how that works. If you click on your active, that should be your listings, your active listings, and pending are going to be anything that is under contract. Okay, so that's how you find it. If you ever want to find a file that you have access to or that you closed previously, like an archived file, you can just plug the address in here at the top search bar with the little search icon. That'll pull up any closed transactions that you have previously. So maybe you, at the end of the year, want to pull copies of all of the closing statements for your clients so that they have that for tax purposes, or the beginning of the year for all your clients from last year's for their taxes. You could go in there and search each one by last year. By the address. You could go into Access Archives as well. There on the screen on your dashboard, you should have access to the archive, and then that will pull up all of your closed files that have been archived. So that's the way to do it. You can sort it, ascending or descending. So if we do this, it's going to sort it here, like based on close date. So then you could pull copies of everything for that you've had closed. So there's some simple ways to do it. Give me just a second. I thought it would auto-populate. Oh, sad. All right, let's see. Oh, nice. It's still in here. All right. So let's pull up a transaction. I'm going to pull up this fake address one so that we don't get in trouble with YouTube. And so you would create into here, you'd go into create a new file or create a listing, enter a listing. This is what it's going to give you. And there's several different ways to do different things in here. So the number one thing is when we create a new transaction, it's going to walk us through item by item, the different sections of the transaction to be able to enter. And keep in mind, anything with a red asterisk needs to go into your file. Okay, So it's number one step. Why is this important to you? Let's cover that real quick though, because I just told you your transaction coordinator will do this all for you. If something happens to your transaction coordinator, you need to be able to keep your files in compliance or be able to close your files so that you get paid. Your file has to be complete here in Skyslope in order for your check to be issued for you. So if your transaction coordinator goes on vacation, if they end up sick, something happens, they quit on you, you need to not be dead in the water. So you need to understand the basics of Skyslope so that you have a basic understanding and can handle your files for you. Once you have that basic understanding, you can kick it off to your transaction coordinator. So you're going to just put in everything that's read. Each time when you start a new file, it's going to ask you to input information. You're going to hit save or next, and it's going to take you through each one. So you're going to put in the agent information. If you have a mentor, or you have a co-agent, you can put that information in here under co-buyer's agent, assuming that it's a buyer. And that will allow them to have access to your file. So it's really helpful if you're in the mentor program, put your mentor in there so that then they can pull up your file in case you ever have questions or need something. The same thing happens that like if you go on vacation, you may want to throw whoever's covering your business in here as the co-agent so they can access those files and be able to answer any questions or get documents over to the lender that might be required. So it's going to ask you to put in the property information. You're going to hit save and next. It's going to take you through who's the buyer, who's the seller. You're going to hit save and next. It's going to ask you who the title company is. Remember, we're just looking for those red asterisks. So we're just trying to update everything with the red asterisks. So it'll get transaction information. It's really important that on the transaction information, let me pop back over to transaction information, that this checklist type is accurate because that's going to determine what is going to be required for the file and what's not. So if it's a new home or multi-unit or residential 1 to 4 or short sale purchase, right? Or a new mobile home, HUD, lot, land, right? So all those options are in here. So just make sure you label that correctly so you get the correct checklist. Okay, we'll go over the checklist here in a minute. Contacts, oftentimes I'll just put, like if there's 2 buyers, I just put both buyers' names in that line. I don't create separate lines for them. So it's like seller 1 and seller 2 right here with their last name. So like it'd be Joe and Jenny Smith or whatever that might be. Okay, it's going to take you through each of these, asking for the seller information, the purchaser information, that'd be the buyer, title and escrow, agent representing the other side, lender's information, right? You don't have to do home warranty and miscellaneous contacts if you don't have any of that, and it's not got any red asterisk. So again, like even here under the sellers, I just put in their first name and last name because nothing else is required. So same thing if I go to buyer, buyer's first and last names, right? I think this one is a, let's see, buyer 1 and 2 checklist type. This was a purchase. So this is a buyer transaction, which is why it's asking for the buyer's emails because those are my clients. Okay. When we go to title, escrow, and attorney, it's asking for the closing officer. That's going to be your title company, your escrow officer's name goes there. And then down here, closing is the same as the escrow. So because we do our title and escrow through the same company, we usually have the same person. Other places, it's different people. Agent representing the other side. Again, we're just looking for those asterisks and filling in those red asterisks on each of those informations. Okay, so that's what you get there. The commission tab, we just want to make sure you put the sales price in there, and you want to put what kind of commission it is, whether it's a percentage or a flat amount and what that's going to be. That's all you really have to worry about on that tab there. And then the important tab is the checklist tab. This is going to tell you what's going to be required for your file. So see here, we've got, these are showing completed because this is a file I did for the last training. So I'll show you how to attach documents, but like the buyer pre-approval letter, it says required, buyer proof of funds if applicable, right? So like buyer proof of funds is required if the buyer has any cash in the transaction, down payment, closing costs, right? But like contingency for sale of buyer's property, if that's not part of your transaction, then you don't have to do that. Okay. The way to, so it's really handy because it tells you everything you need for your file. What's going to happen is you're going to put documents in here. And then our compliance department is going to log in and they're going to review those documents and make sure they're accurate, make sure they're filled out completely, make sure they fall into compliance, and then they are going to mark them as accepted. Okay. Or they're going to kick them back as rejected. And then if they kick them back as rejected, they're going to put some notes here in the comment section for you so that you know why it was rejected and what needs to be fixed. Keep in mind, if anything happens, like your addendum's got the wrong number on it, you missed a date, it's already been signed by everybody, you need to add that date on there and then it needs to get initialed by the parties. Sorry, inconvenient. That's why it's really important to make sure that you fill out all your documents completely before putting them into Skyslope. Okay, the reason for that is that we're technically not allowed to edit any documents once they've been signed by any parties to the transaction. So it would be wrong of us to go in there and fix that addendum number and call it good. The buyer and the seller need to initial that, oh, whoops, the addendum was labeled A, it should have been 1, or it was labeled 2, it should have been 4. We're just going to put an X, cross it out, put the 4, and have everybody initial it. Okay. To upload documents to this file so that you can get your file in compliance. Number one, once something's uploaded in here, if we hover over the paperclip and wait patiently, it usually will pull up a little preview of that document. I'm not going to do it today though, because it's angry at me. Let's see. If we click on it, oh, it's because there's more than one document there. So because I clicked on the paperclip, it pulled up any of the documents that were attached to that, which means I can click on it and see what that document is. Okay, super simple there. So if it doesn't pull one up, I'll find one here in a minute that's going to pull something up. There you've got your agency disclosure. Okay, let's see if this one will pull it up to hover. There we go. If you hover and there's only one document attached to that, it will pull it up for you so that you can view it and preview it without having to click on anything. Okay, so super simple there, gives you the ability to be able to do that. Here, if we click the little arrows, this is going to give us options to download that document. So if we needed a copy of it for the lender or whoever, we could do it that way. Okay, so that's how we are going to do that. The other thing that's super important, and I don't know why this one doesn't have one, but it should assign you an email address right here for your transaction file. That's going to be important because any emails that are part of this transaction between you and your clients, between you and the other agent, you and the title company, you and the lender, any emails that are related to this client of yours, they all need to be CC'd or forwarded to the email that's usually right here. And again, I'm not sure why there's no email here, but there should be an email. It's probably because I pulled up maybe a canceled file. I don't really know, but there's usually an email here. It's usually like this is 123 Sample Street is the fake address that I use. So usually it's like Sample Street 123 at skyslope.com is generally that email address. If it's the second file, or maybe you're in contract with another agent from our office, then one of them would be Sample Street 123 at skyslope.com, and one of them would be Sample Street 1231 at skyslope.com. And the next file, like maybe you sold them the property and now that you're selling it for them, the next one would be Sample Street 1232 at skyslope.com. So that's how, if you notice that the numbers are off, that's why, because we already have one of those transactions under our files. All right. To attach documents, there's a couple different ways, as I previously mentioned. The one way is right here in this checklist. You can hit attach. Once you hit attach, it's going to pull up this transaction file of all the documents that have been logged as part of this file, or we can upload a document from our computer by clicking the upload button. Keep in mind, to attach it and upload it this way, all the documents need to be separate items. Okay, so we can't just, we'd hit upload. It's going to upload this file. I don't even know what I just uploaded it, but that's okay. There we go. Now it's going to show as pending because I just uploaded something there. So see that? So it went to red pending, meaning, hey, you uploaded something. Now we're waiting for compliance to review it. Once compliance reviews it and accept it, it's going to go to complete. Okay. If you won't have the option here of accepting or rejecting. If it gets rejected, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to show up as incomplete or purple. Okay. Your options here are just going to be attached. You can put comments in here. So just know that you can put comments in here anytime you write comments. So if you wanted to write a note about something you uploaded to the compliance department, you can write the note there. And then you want to make sure you hit save. Okay. That will save that note in there. And then if you want to go back through the notes history, we just click this little arrow right here. And that will show us the notes history and who left that note. So if the compliance department sent you a note and you responded back, it would log them all right there. So once you have a little drop down arrow, that's where you can see those notes. Okay, so if we have a document like agency disclosure, notice normally our agency disclosure is attached to our RPA. It's got like 8 documents on that RPA. We need it separated from the RPA to be able to attach it this way. So just single documents get attached this way. Okay. To attach it a different way. Okay. So that's how this checklist works. It breaks it into, I'll show you how to attach the other ways here in a minute. It's got your sales documentation. Excuse me. It's going to have your disclosure documentation. And then it has any reports or inspections. Anything that's part of this file needs to get uploaded to this file. The closing documentation down here, this is really important. The closing demand needs to be signed by any agents getting paid from this file. Excuse me, before it gets uploaded. And then it says here, agent emails, PDF, or CC Skyslope emails. Remember, I told you there should be a Skyslope email up there. You're going to CC all files or all emails or forward all emails to that address. Once you do that, you can put a little note in here that just says all emails have been forwarded or CC'd to the file and hit save. And then that way, the compliance department knows that that's been taken care of. The last few things down here, you have commission demand, emails that usually gets done after the file has closed. You have your MLS sold page. So you need to download the MLS report, the full report for the sold, showing that it was sold. Your qualified substitute form or your FERPTA usually gets sent over to us by the title company with the closing package. And then you have your broker closing package. The office will upload the broker closing package. You usually are responsible for the FERPTA. That again usually gets sent over by the title company at the close of escrow with a copy of the closing documents. Okay, so that's how that's going to roll down there under closing documents. Everything else is going to be your responsibility. Okay. Now, when we email stuff to this file, excuse me, if we go to the log, this is where you're going to see the history of anything that has been sent to this file. So it's going to log any changes that have been done to this file. So if you see here, it says note, notes added against checklist disclosure, right? And who wrote the note and what the note was. Okay, here you've got a note here, not the right document, who wrote the note. So these are all notes. These were documents assigned. So doc ASN is a document assigned. I assigned the file acknowledgement. Here's doc added because I added a document to the file before I assigned it. I viewed a document. I added a note. Let's see here. So all that stuff is in here. Here, there was a cancellation done of this file because it wasn't a real file. Documents were viewed here, so it shows you who viewed them. We're going to keep scrolling down because somewhere, oh, here we go. Here's an email. So the email was received. So when we forward emails or CC them to the email address, it logs it here like this so that you can see that we've got history of all those emails. The law in California requires us to keep copies of all transactionally related emails. for the same period of time that we have to keep the file, which is why one of the reasons we really love Skyslope is it makes it so easy to be able to keep track of all those emails. Okay, this one had attachments, so it shows that there was attachments to that. If we click on the email received, it'll actually pull up a copy of that email. So super handy there. You can export these, super handy, so you can do all of that. Okay, here it's got attachments, so you can pull up the attachments. This really does come in handy in case you were ever audited by the DRE on a file or ever included as part of a lawsuit. You would need to be able to access these files. Okay, so that's what you can find in the log. Now, what's also going to happen is as we CC or forward emails to this email address, it's going to pull all of those attachments off those emails, and this I'm so sorry, it's going to log those under this documents tab right here. I'm just going to wait for it to open. All right, so here's everything that's been pulled off those emails or documents that I uploaded manually, like this file acknowledgement. I uploaded that one manually, so it's going to pull it up there. Okay, now if I want to see what a document is, number one, sorry, it's popping up block-ups. Stop, I just want you to go away. All right, there we go. All these with a paper clip mean they've been assigned to something in the file already. These without a paper clip have not been assigned to something. If we want to see what a document is that's been logged in here, there's a couple different ways to do that. One is that we can hover over the eyeball. It'll pull that up and tell us what that document is. Right there. So super handy there. Okay. So if we hover, we can see it, or the other option is we can click on it. Okay, that will also pull up a preview of that document for us so that we can see that document. Okay, it's going to pop it up in a different tabby. So that means that you can toggle back to it if you need to. You can also rename these files, and maybe something was updated or changed or whatever. You can rename them into something else. Or this gives us the ability to be able to assign documents. So we can assign them a couple different ways. We can click on it here and put the little box on there. And then we can come up here and click assign. That's going to allow us to take that document. Again, it's got to be separated documents and upload it to our checklist. So RPA, we can search either by acronym, or we could put in residential, right? Purchase agreement and put it there. So we can click on it. You would click assign. Okay, now let's see like that residential purchase agreement. When we have that document, it is like 20 different things up in that document. So what we can do is if we come over here to that document and hit split, okay, like a banana, we hit split, it's going to pull up another window. It's going to auto split for us. Let's see what this is going to do. Oh my gosh, look at that. Such magic. It's giving us suggestions already. Dismiss, because we're getting so smart. So now we have the agency disclosure. It automatically split that for us by page number. So super handy. If it didn't do that, then we could just split it up in there. Super simple. You put in the page that it starts, the page that it ends. If it's the same page, it would be page 1 to page 1. So if we wanted to change that, we would just go 1-1, and then we select the item from the checklist. Then we move on. You can skip pages. So if page 2 was nothing, we can move on to page 3 and 4, and then 5 and 5, right? 6 and 6, 7 to 22, 23 to 24. So super simple. Once we do it, we hit split and assign. And it's going to split that document into all those different pieces, and then it's going to assign those to the checklist. So it makes it so simple to be able to do that. If we needed more rows, you just click add row down here. We can right? So super simple. We're gonna put it as a pending page, page number 2. Okay, and if you're like, oh, I don't know what that was, page number 2, you can just scroll through the document and go, oh, page 1 to 2 is the agency disclosure, page 3 is the fair housing, page 4, or that'd be 3 and 4, page 5 is the possible representation, right? So it makes it so super simple to come in here and assign it, and even more simple now that it automatically does it for you, magic. If we didn't want to assign it, we just wanted to split it out, we weren't ready to assign everything yet, you could just hit split. It's going to split that document up inside of the documents tab and not actually assign it to the checklist. So if we want it to assign to the checklist, we're going to hit split and assign to assign it to the checklist. We're just going to hit split. Nice job. So you split 9 documents, 0 were attached to our checklist because again, I just split it, I didn't assign. And you are going to have the option here to either return back to the documents tab or go to the checklist tab. So we're going to go back to documents. All right, here's that documents. So now we have all those documents that were newly split. Say that they don't have paper clips next to them. That's because they're not assigned to anything yet. So now that they're split, now it makes it really easy. We could select the ones that we wanted. We could come up here and hit assign. And now it's going to assign those 3 documents. Oh, but it's only going to assign them to one. So you don't want to do it that way. So you want to do each one individually. You can also go, let me show you here in a second. You can upload documents directly to the file this way as well. So if we don't want to upload, if we need to split it first, we can upload it here and then go into the split. Okay. You can download files here. Okay. We are going to go back to the checklist though, and I'll just show you here that from here, like if we were uploading this proof of funds, we could hit attach. Let's say that was one of the documents I just uploaded. We would just hit attach. We're going to wait patiently. It takes us to that documents tab, to all the documents that have yet to have been assigned. Once we're like, oh, this is that, the proof of funds, we would just click on it to assign. And now it's going to pull it from that documents tab over to the checklist right here. So see, now it pulled that document over. Okay, so that's kind of how you function through your Skyslope file. That's how you assign documents. That's where you find the email address. That's how you update them. And we just want to make sure everything that shows as required is attached to this file. There are additional items on here, like we have additional addendums. So anytime you've got multiple addendums, we got addendum 1, 2, and 3, you can put it there. I think the AEA also goes under addendum. You could throw it in there. Just gonna see if I see any other AEAs on here. No. So right, so those can go on there. Down here, you've got like all of your disclosures. There's other disclosures. So anything that doesn't have a line item that was part of the file. So everything that was part of that file should be uploaded to this checklist, even if it's not mentioned on here. So any document that your buyers or your sellers sign needs to go in this file. Generally, you're going to wait to upload them until they are fully complete. So both parties need to have signed the document. It needs to be accurate, everything filled out, all the dates on there, all the numbers, all the explanations, everything needs to be done and complete. Here, down here, this is where you're going to have the ability to upload appraisals and CCNRs and the NHD reports and the pest reports and the home inspection. And again, there's always places for additional reports. Okay. Super simple there. So that's how you operate in Skyslope. Again, if we come back to the home page, this is where you're going to have like the option to add a listing. You're going to have the option to cancel a contract. So if somebody cancels, a buyer cancels on you or a seller cancels, whatever it is, you would you want to log that as canceled. So if we go back into that file that we were just in. Right, so transaction actions are here. Oh, because this one's already canceled, you would have the ability to go up here and cancel that transaction. Or if you had a listing, what'll happen is that you have to upload all the listing documentation first. It'll have to get signed off. And then once you have an accepted offer, you need to move it into offer accepted, which will assign the next checklist for you of that file. So it'll start with just the listing documentation. And then once you accept that offer and you click the button to do so, then it's going to give you that option to then start uploading all the buyer documents, the residential purchase agreements and the counter offers and all of that. Okay, once you do that, just so you know, down here, underneath the closing documentation is where you'll find the rest of the listing documentation. Then you have the closing documents, and the top section will look like this with all the buyer required documents for the purchase side of the transaction. Okay. I think that's all I got for you today. Super simple. Just wanted to give you that overview of how to navigate through Skyslope, because again, if you don't have a transaction coordinator yet, if you your transaction coordinator's on vacation or under the weather, this becomes your responsibility. You not having a transaction coordinator, your transaction coordinator being out for whatever reason is not an excuse to not have your file in compliance at all times. You can send documents out through signatures through Skyslope. I usually do it through zip forms, but you can do it. The other thing that you can do here is that you can have working documents. So this working documents, I don't think we have anything under the office. Let's see what we got. Nope. But you could, under personal documents, if you wanted to upload, if there's documents you're using all the time. In fact, let me go back. Office documents. No, it's empty too. All right. You can upload documents. So if you wanted to upload like all the county disclosures into this file so that you had them all saved, you could do that. You would just upload the document. You could upload the blank Solano County regional disclosure or the Placer County disclosure or the Sacramento and have them all stored in here if you wanted to be able to do that. So that would be one way to use that personal documents. Okay. There you go. There's your tour. If you have any questions, you're watching this on replay, never hesitate to throw comments in the, or throw those questions in the comment section, or feel free to reach out to me directly so that you can get your questions answered on how to navigate through Skyslope. So super important. Hope you guys found that helpful. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon.